Hey, welcome back, guys. This is Mike at Kiss Dog Training, and today we are going to tackle the topic of dogs who jump up, okay? Now, as I mentioned, the idea of dogs who jump up as a problem behavior, we got to be really careful here. This is a behavior that could be happening when you're on a walk, could be when you're out in public, it could be when new people are moving into entering into your house. I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of people think jumping up is just one problem behavior. And unfortunately, because it happens in so many different environments, it is definitely a behavior that you have to train in all environments. One of the things I always tell my clients is if you want your dog to be perfect in every environment, you better be willing to practice in every environment. And a lot of people will, I call it the curse of the living room dog. They'll have a dog who's pretty well behaved inside the house but falls apart outside. Or some people will have a dog that goes everywhere with them and does great, but they're kind of antisocial and they don't go out much, so the dog gets crazy whenever anybody comes into the house. So this kind of circles back to why do dogs jump up? And I'll be honest, I think the main reason dogs jump up is because it works. It gets attention. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think dogs really know the difference between good attention and bad attention. It's just attention. So if I jump up and you're pushing me or you're yelling at me, you're giving me the attention I want. And if we're going to say attention is what the dog wants, well, then overstimulation has to be a part of that discussion. And if the dog's not used to having people come into your house on a regular basis, then they're going to overstimulate each time somebody new comes in because they're so excited to see them. And then all of a sudden they make a bad choice and they jump up. So while I think the techniques to teach a dog not to jump up are not necessarily really difficult, it is going to be a time consuming marathon, not a sprint. So if you go out and hire a dog trainer and expect after one session to magically have your problem fixed, you're probably not going to get there. But what we have to do is set up successful routines and ways to practice to normalize, desensitize, habitualize, whatever fancy words you want to use that makes meeting people less overstimulating, crazy, anxiety producing, all of these words you're going to hear in the dog training world. We just got to make it boring. Oh, that's another person. Okay, I'll go say hi. So, with all that being said, we're going to head into 4 or 5 different ways that we can help maybe with this problem. I'm going to throw some videos in from the past. I was a lot skinnier and probably better looking, and hopefully the audio will work, but it will give you some kind of things to put your eyeballs on and try. So, we're heading into why do dogs jump and what can we do to fix it? All right. The first thing we got to do to help our dog learn not to jump up all the time is what I call the sit, say, please principle. Okay? I want dogs to understand that sitting is their version of please. Okay? I want to get fed. You got to sit. I want to go out the door. I got to sit. I want to get a pet. I got to sit. I want to get on the couch. I got to sit first and then I'm invited up. If we can add that one little idea that them sitting is their version of asking for something or saying please, you're going to find that your dog overstimulates a lot less. Okay? That still means that we have to start in the house and then move to the backyard, move to the front yard, move to a public place, go to a brewery, go to a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a Bass Pro, PetSmart, Petco, and we got to train in each of those environments. But the first thing is we got to work on sit, say, please, okay? And it's just going to be basic obedience, okay? When your dog wants to go out in the backyard, give me a sit. All right, door opens. You want your food bowl? Sit. Okay. You want to go get in your crate? Okay, sit. I open the crate, go on in. It's just a pause and a request and maybe manners for your dog, okay? It's pretty simple, and the way I teach it, if you go out to the website, you're going to see a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel has lots of playlists on there. But the hand feeding playlist is really a great place to start with a dog because it's how do I teach a sit? How do I teach a down? How do I teach a watch me? But you notice all of these things start working with as you're feeding the dog by hand, you're teaching them skills. And it's really easy to get into these routines. But the ones I gave you are the basics. It's going to be a sit, say, please, okay? So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to look at the idea of the turnaround game, okay? Now, this game is one of the hand feeding games, but it really starts to specifically work on a dog jumping up, okay? If I ask a dog for a sit and they sit and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I release the dog to my side by saying all done, which is kind of a precursor to a stay command, but it just kind of gets us started, we can then turn our back on the dog and we just wait and see what the dog does. And in most cases, that dog will flip around front and sit and look at you, where I can then give them a treat. And I can turn around and walk 2 or 3 steps away from them and stop with my back facing them, and they come around front and sit. What I'm really attempting to do here is to get a dog who defaults to a front facing sit. If a dog is front facing and sitting and looking at me, they're not looking at the rest of the world, getting overstimulated, being distracted, all the other things. So, where a lot of dog trainers want to work on that heel command looking forward, I'd rather have the dog sitting in front of me looking at me. Maybe it's a flashback to my mom always going, boy, if I don't have your eyes, I don't have your ears, look at me, okay? But that turnaround game becomes also a way where the dog learns, unless my rear end's on the ground, the food will not come from the hand. So the first video we're going to include in this little talk is going to be doing the turnaround game, okay? And let's take a look at that video real quick.
Hi guys, Mike with Kiss Dog Training. We are still in the hand feeding playlist. However, we have left the idea of positive marks and release words. We're still going to use them. If you don't know what a positive mark or release word is, go back and watch the sit, the down, the watch me video, okay? Today, this is all about teaching a dog, number one, not to jump, and number two, kind of start prepping towards what I call loose leash walking, okay? Number one, I want my dog to pay attention to me. A dog paying attention to me is right here. Come here, look at crap, right here. This is a good paying attention kind of behavior. Now, a lot of trainers teach a heel, which is going to be the dog sitting on the side. Sit. Kind of a lazy heel, but I don't use it much, so I'll deal with that. Let's try it one more time. There's another video in here where we'll do this. Now, my problem today with this as your base command is everything out in front she can still see. And if you notice, she still keeps trying to come back around to the front because that's what I've taught her to do, okay? So this is my base position, is a front-facing sit. And I'm going to do a watch me, and I'm going to say, watch me, thank you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, here's where the magic happens. I'm going to turn my back on Luca, and I want you to watch what happens. Boom, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all done. I'm going to turn my back on her. Boom. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. And one final time, I'll turn my back on her. Boom. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. Now, that's what it's supposed to look like in the end. Your dog's probably not going to do it that way. What we're going to end up having to do is to kind of just break it down into its little bitty components. And what I'll do is I'll lure her around, and I'll come to my face, and I'll say, watch me. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. As I'm turning, I'm going to be like, Luca, come around. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. Reach in here, and I'll get my lure wrap. I'm going to say, okay, come on. And I'm going to start luring her around. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. Now, a couple of things about this game. Number one, you notice the dog's rear end has to be on the ground to get the reward. Bang, there she is. I'm creating a default behavior of a sit. A lot of times you'll hear me refer to it as an auto sit, where the dog should do all these commands without really even a word. It should just be, if I don't know what to do, I'm going to go back to my base position, which is a front-facing sit. The other thing is, the dog's not jumping up on me, because the only way to get the one-armed bandit to reach in the pouch and go all done is to have my rear end on the ground. So for me, this is one of the most critical games that I teach in the hand feeding series of videos. It teaches not to jump up. It preps us for leash work, which comes a little bit later. And it also teaches this kind of auto sit behavior of, what do you want me to do next? So keep working. I would like to see you have this game by the next time I show up at your house. You should be able to walk all over the house 3 steps at a time and just stop. And the dog should do it. So in a sense, if I kind of come over to this side and turn my back, she'll come around front, and she's going to sit. What I'm talking about is I might go 1, 2, 3, add some steps, and then stop. Okay? And the steps are important for the next step in this game, which is going to be the leash work. Hey, what do you got to do? There you go. Good girl. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. Okay, guys. Get back to that hand feeding playlist. Go to the next video, and we will see you soon.
All right, now that you've kind of seen the game, and I'll even point out, if you hunt around on the YouTube channel, there's even a puppy playlist. And I'm doing this turnaround game with dogs as young as 10, 12 weeks. So it's always going to be easier. I guess this is a good little sidebar to teach a dog what you want when they're a puppy, so the routine is built from day one, than it is to wait till a dog is 3 years old and got 2.5, 3 years worth of experience in bad routines that we have to break down and recreate. But you can do it with a puppy. You can do it with an adult dog. You can do it with an older dog. You can do it with a teenager dog. It does not matter. It's just a great beginning to a wonderful routine of a front-facing sit. Now, what's our next step? Well, when we're out in public, we can't necessarily have the dog off leash. So now, normally, this next video will kind of go over a way to do the turnaround game on leash, so that we can start working on leash skills. And I think you're going to find that when it comes to pulling on leash, jumping up on people, listening, paying attention, it's all intertwined. But if you're going to be out in public and letting your dog greet other people, we need to have good behavior on leash. So this next game, simply, instead of turning my back on the dog, you see me with a typical 4 to 6 foot leash, walking 3 or 4 steps and stopping. The dog will flip around front, sit, stare, they get a treat. I take 3 or 4 more steps forward, the dog comes around front and sits. I might turn to my left, I might turn to my right. And I am getting the dog to practice, hey, anytime we stop on a leash, my job is to still come around front and sit. So we reinforce that default front-facing sit behavior, which will then eventually start equaling out to less jumping up on other people. You know, it's also a great way to start working on loose leash walking with a dog. One of the other little tricks from a walking standpoint that I talk to clients about is a lot of times we put on headphones and we just head for a walk and we're listening to our favorite podcast or music or whatever, and we lose ourselves in the walk. And then the dog gets bored and they start paying attention to everything other than us. And then they see something, and then overstimulation, and then bad behavior, and then we're all pissed off and we're right back at square one. So I would also challenge you on a walk to stop at every driveway and get a sit. Now, when that becomes easy, maybe go every 2 driveways, then go every 3. But we're teaching the dog to always be focused on me, wondering, hey, are you going to stop? What's the next thing? What do I need to do? It's a dog focused, okay? So this next video is going to kind of take that first turnaround game and now make it auto sits on leash, okay? Let's watch that and we'll come back.
All right, guys. We are going to take the turnaround game that we have learned in the past, and we're going to take it one step closer to loose leash walking with our dog. I got Luna helping me tonight. Standard 6, 7 foot leash, no big deal. Come here, Luna. Number 1, whenever a dog gets a leash put on, Luna, give me sit. I want the dog calm, okay? We've already got the turnaround game going. Now we're going to shift it, and we're going to do the turnaround game on leash. So if I walk away from her and just turn my back, she's immediately going to go out front and wonder what's going on, and she's automatically going to default to that sit. I'm going to give her a treat. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to take 2 or 3 steps towards everybody. I'm going to move here. Once Luna figures out what's going on, we're just patient. This is an auto sit. We shouldn't have to ask for it. Luna, what do you got to do? What do you got to do? Give me sit. Sit. If you have to remind, go ahead, give her a treat, walk away from her. And again, we're just going to wait. There's our sit. Good girl. You can see now how this turnaround game is going to slowly but surely be kind of molded into how to do a loose leash walk, which is basically whenever I stop, Luna, what you gotta do? There you go. I want the auto sit. So ideally, I want you to walk through your entire house. I want you to be able to go in the kitchen. I want you to go in and out of hallways. I want you to go into the back rooms, up and down stairs. But every 3 to 5 steps, I want you to stop, and the dog has to do a front-facing sit. Okay? Once we have this down, we will then take it to the backyard. We'll take it to the front yard. There'll be more videos on that coming later. But this is what you need to practice this time. So, one final treat for Luna.
Okay, at this point, we got a dog who knows the turnaround game, knows how to do the auto sit with a leash, and now we start to feel a little bit more comfortable, but we still really haven't talked about the difference between training this behavior in the house or on a walk or at a public location, so on and so forth. So let's talk first about how you deal with your house. Okay, number one, you have to manage bad behaviors. Okay, if I allow the dog to do a bad behavior every single time somebody walks into my house, it becomes a new routine and it becomes an ingrained behavior, and then it becomes hard to fix. And that's probably where a lot of you find yourself. In this first little kind of idea of management, I'll either use baby gates or I will use crates. I'm not a big fan at this point in training of like a place command, because I don't think the dogs necessarily have the skills for me to say, go place yourself on a mat and stay there. Now, if your dog's got that ability, fantastic, but I would be willing to bet that if your dog has that ability, they probably don't jump on people. So, when we're using a crate, and I want it in the living area of the space, and I could really care less if you're using the crate in a traditional sense. And what I mean by that is I don't care if the dog sleeps in the crate. I don't care if you put the dog away in the crate when you leave. But we are going to use that crate in this particular situation in how to manage a dog. So what if we taught our dogs that every time somebody knocked on the door or rang the doorbell, if they ran and got in the crate, they got a cookie. And when they got in the crate, I would give them the cookie, I would shut the door, and then I would go to the front door and answer the door. And then when the new people came in, I'd be, hey, this is Liberty. She's a little crazy when she meets people. Give her a chance to calm down. Then I'll let you say hi. And that allows me to break down the behavior to where it's not happening every single time somebody comes in, and giving the dog an opportunity to relax, calm down, then come out and say hi. I can also, on the flip side of this, use the crate as a cause and effect box. You jump on somebody and I'll make you do a little 10-second timeout in the crate. I'm not yelling and screaming at the dog. I'm not grabbing the dog by their collar and dragging them to the crate. This would be a skill that if you're going to use timeouts, you have to teach the dog to go to the crate for a cookie, and then you can use it. So if my dog jumped up on somebody, I might very well turn around, go to your room. And when they go to the room, I give them a treat. I shut the door. I count to about 10. That's it. I just need the cause and effect of, if you do this, this happens. I need to keep my voice calm. I need to be relaxed about it. I'm not yelling and screaming, because that's just going to make it more confusing for the dog. But at the end of that 10 seconds, I let the dog out, and then they say, go try again. And I might have to do this 2 or 3 times at the very beginning of training so the dog learns the cause and effect. So the first step is a management device or a crate. But then what if we turn around and add another command where I can catch the dog on the way to somebody, and I can tell by their behavior they're probably going to jump. I can then prevent the behavior with a redirection cue, or what I call leave it. Now, we're not going to talk a lot about leave it in this particular video, but it might be one that we cover later. But really all it would be is, leave it is just a fancy recall command that when the dog fires away out of the crate towards the person and I go, leave it. The same hand signal, they see my hand drop to my side, and they give up the distraction or the person to come back to me, and I go, okay, relax. I might still put them in the crate, go, you're not ready yet, let's let you calm down. And one thing we have to kind of cover in all of this, I mentioned it earlier, if you're kind of antisocial and you don't have a lot of house guests and you expect your dog to be great with every house guest that comes in the house, it's kind of a pipe dream. You're not going to get there. You got to practice. If you want to be good at golf, go to the driving range. You want to be good at math, you got to practice math. If your dog is not practicing meeting people on a regular basis and learning how to do it the correct way, then management might be the better way so that they're just at least not jumping all over people. Okay. In public, the situation is so loose and you don't know what's going on, but there's an opportunity to say hello. So I guess the next thing we need to talk about is how do we do a proper greet, okay? And there's going to be a video of that here in a minute, but what if we just started taking our dog to, I would start with like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. PetSmart and Petco, pretty distracting environments for a dog. I also like Bass Pros. They're dog friendly. Shields is dog friendly. And I would be walking in. Now, here's the deal. If it's just you trying to do this, it's going to be harder. So I do like to have this be a two-person job, but you could do it both ways. But let's say I'm holding on to the leash and my friend's with me and they're walking up to total strangers and saying, hey, that's Mike. His dog is Liberty. We're working on saying hello to people without jumping up. Would you like to help us? And if they say yes, you go, okay, I'm going to hand you a treat. Mike's going to bring the dog over and I want you to ask for a sit. Give the dog a treat and immediately turn around and walk away. I really don't even want you to pet the dog. And this is how we get this process started of the dog just walking up and meeting people. Now, flip side of this, if we were talking puppy training, we would have done this during that critical socialization period, and we would have been having everybody walking up, giving treats to, the puppies. We would have them in a shopping cart if they weren't vaccinated. But the minute they're vaccinated, they're on a leash and they're saying hello to people and they're practicing this behavior, and they're just learning the right behavior from day one. Most of the people probably watching this video have a 2-3-year-old dog who likes to just jump up and say hello to everybody. You can't do that. So having two people with this operation, it makes it so much easier, at least to start with. Now, eventually, you're going to be at a Home Depot, somebody's going to walk up and they go, can I pet your dog? You're going to reach in your pocket, you're going to pull out a treat and say, absolutely, this is Liberty, but you got to make her sit before you can say hi to her. And we get into that habit, okay? And if you're not doing this, again, you're going to hear me say the word routine a million times, and now I'm going to add the words consistency and frequency for the next million times. If you're not consistently frequent or frequently consistent with the right routine with your dog, you're never going to solve your problem. So if you're that person of, okay, I'll go out and practice once a month, you're not going to get there, okay? Not without trying to go alpha dominance or trying to go for a quick fix or using a tool or a choke chain or a prong collar or a shock collar, which that's just not my jive. So we're not going to do that. But if you start with this two-person technique of walking around practicing, it only needs to be 5-10 minutes at a time, tops. And you do it 2 or 3 times a week, within a couple of months, you've got a dog who's totally different around people. Okay, so the next thing we need to kind of talk about is how does this proper greet kind of look? So watch this next video. This is one of my sons and I practicing with one of my dogs, and I'll be right back.
All right, guys. Up till now, you have already learned how to do the 3-point place, which is front, right, and left with the dog. Just to give you a little reminder, dog already knows front. If I want her on my right side, come here, Lex. Sit. Good girl. Back out front. Very nice. Switch hands. Go to my left. Like that. We can do it. What we're going to add this time is how to do a proper greet with your dogs. Now it's time to take this on the road and start working in distraction. I've got my son Donovan helping me. If I was in a pet store or a dog-friendly environment, somebody walked up and asked me, can I pet your dog? The first thing I'm going to do is Lexi side. Come here. Come here. Lex. Sit. Stay. Somebody would walk up.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Can I pet your dog?
Absolutely. I'm back up. Sit. And you can see this is exactly where I want the dog. I'm going to hand the person a treat. I'm going to release my dog and say, go say hi.
Come on, Lexi. You sit. Good girl.
Okay. So once again, let's just play this out again. Donovan's going to ask.
Can I pet your dog?
And I'm going to say, Lexi, come here. Sit. Wait. Okay, so what I want you to do, if you don't mind, is so we can practice, I'm going to give you a treat when I release. Lexi, back up. Back. When I release her to you, you can go ahead and ask her to sit and give her a treat. Go ahead, say hi.
Come here, Lex. Sit.
So you can see, Lexi's so excited to work with us, she's even breaking, not doing it perfectly correct. This is how much practice you're going to have to do. Once again, Lexi, side, wait, here's the treat. Go say hi.
You sit. Good girl.
Once again, the number one thing I want people to realize is dogs, we should not approach dogs. Dogs should approach us. I think doing a proper greet with a dog is really important because it gives the dog the opportunity to choose to go say hi to the person. A dog approaching me, I know wants to see me versus me walking up and reaching over the top of the dog. So this is the practice we talked about today in the session. This is how you're going to practice it. We'll give Lexi one final treat. You guys have a great night.
Okay, at this point, you've watched 3 videos. You've heard me blather on. The key takeaways: teach your dog a front-facing default sit. Teach your dog that you got to sit to say please to get things. Practice in different layers of distraction. Start in the house, move to the backyard, work in the driveway, build it out to a small walk around your house, and then maybe a full walk. Then you're going to start incorporating seeing dogs and people on the walk, practicing your redirection cue, your leave it. And then each and every time somebody wants to say hi to your dog, it needs to be a command, cue, trick of saying hello. It needs to be, sure, but here, you got to ask her to sit. It needs to be a routine that the dog understands. Oh, yes, I go in, I say hello, I get a cookie. I don't jump up, I don't do it. If for some reason you need a little bit more simple stuff, we've even written a book called Downward Dog, how to deal with a dog who jumps up. It's available on Amazon. You can get it on my website. It's available in an ebook, an audiobook, or paperback. But really and truly, just like anything else in dog training, there is no silver bullet. There is no magic pill. There's no Jedi mind trick. There is consistent, frequent practice and setting good routines. If your dog knows what you want and you reward them for that behavior, they're going to give you that behavior. It's a question of, do you have the patience to sit down and really work it a little bit 2 or 3 times a day for a month or 2 and see the magic happen, or are you going to fail like a lot of people do? A kooky way of looking at this is, in dog training, there's 2 ways to handle things. You can go 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, in which case you're constantly crawling forward and doing the right things. Or you can do what most people who are looking for help with dog training get stuck with: 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. You make a little progress, you fall back even further, and it's because of the inconsistency of practice and work. If you've got any questions, reach out. We're going to be doing hopefully more of this, where we'll either create new videos based off of old videos, but we're going to try to start with the podcast and with the videos on YouTube to try to include some of these videos. Sometimes it's just easier when you see it. So again, this is Mike with Kiss Dog Training. Hopefully this helps, and you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you next time.